El Salvador, a country that has long been ravaged by brutal gangs, had taken a very harsh but momentous step few months back. In February this year, it had transferred 2,000 people accused of gang membership to a recently opened mega prison. 1 month later, another batch of 2,000 more were brought into the newly opened mega prison. Those moves were a part of the government crackdown on the rampant gang violence and the tough battle that has plagued El Salvador for far too long. But now, a new report claims to lay bare the human cost of El Salvador's controversial war on gangs. The new report claims that several dozens of prisoners were tortured and in fact killed in jail after being caught up in the year-long security crackdown. This detailed 107-page report from human rights group Cristosal has said that at least 153 people had died in custody after being arrested as part of President Nayib Bukele's year-long offensive against the Central American country's notorious pandillas. The NGO said that it had confirmed 29 of those fatalities as violent deaths and another 46 were considered suspicious. In most of those 75 cases, Cristosal said that the bodies of the victims showed signs of torture, beatings or strangulation. Other dead inmates also showed signs of injuries but were classified as having died of undetermined or natural causes, meaning that the true number of violent deaths could be higher. The report comes in the wake of the current President Bukele's predecessor, Mauricio Funes, being sentenced in absentia to 14 years in jail for allegedly negotiating with the gangs during his tenure. The rights group Cristosal has said that it had obtained photographs and mortuary reports showing bodies with signs of asphyxiation, fractures, significant bruising, lacerations, and even perforations. Some inmates appeared to have died of malnutrition. Nearly half of the victims were men aged between 18 and 38. The NGO claimed that some prisoners had been tortured with electric shocks. Cristosal's director Noah Bullock said its findings highlighted how human rights violations were a systematic practice rather than an exception under El Salvador's current government. The human rights group based its report on interviews with dozens of relatives of the deceased and former inmates, as well as official forensic reports and fieldwork. El Salvador's government has rejected criticism of its anti-gang campaign, which has seen more than 67,000 people arrested since it began in March 2022. It dismisses critical NGOs and media organizations as defenders of gangs and terrorists. Even government critics admit that the crackdown, which looks set to guarantee Bukele a second term in next year's presidential election. This has brought dramatic change to poor Salvadoran communities, which for years lived under the brutal rule of gangs. Meanwhile, President Nayib Bukele yesterday had announced an offensive against the remaining members of the violent gangs that continue to operate and who had just 12 days back killed a policeman. The anti-gang crusade has the support of 9 out of 10 Salvadorans, but human rights organizations and the Catholic Church have criticized Bukele's methods. What do you think about the Cristosal's report? Is President Bukele right in treating gang members harshly, or should they be shown some mercy because of human rights aspects? Do let us know in the comment section.